Hey, what's up? I'm Derek Hill, and this is Maritime Inc. Tattooing is something that's interested me since I was a kid. It was something that I wanted to get into for a very long time, and it was an extremely hard industry to get into. But I remember when I was in high school, I left high school before I'd finished, and one of the people there, the guidance counselor, had asked what I planned on doing with my life, and I told him that I wanted to do something art, and he told me at that point that I would not be able to make a lucrative enough career to support myself if I chose that avenue. And that kind of stuck with me. But with tattooing, if you put the work in, it'll pay out well. And I've done painting, I've sold paintings, I've done that kind of thing, but trying to build a career stable enough in the art industry where you can support a family is extremely hard. But with tattooing, you're as good as you want to be, and the business is there. How's that for you?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Cool. That's what we'll do.
There. Yeah. Sweet.
Well, this one here, I drew it on the iPad. So when I'm done, I just email it to myself, then crop and size it here, and print it off, and then I just run it straight through the stencil machine, and hey, bada boom, bada bing, done. Which from when I started, and it was all hand tracing, right? I'd have to sit here I'd have to allow for hours of extra time to trace things out, and God forbid you trace the wrong size and have to start over, right? I had my first tattoo when I was like 15, 16, yeah. I just really wanted a tattoo. They're badass when you're 15, 16, and it was kind of the thing to do. Carve out a nice picture frame.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, it was one of those things, man, where me and my best friend walked into the shop, and I pointed at the tribal armband on the wall that I wanted and said I wanted it as big as I could get it for this much money, right? Thank God I was a broke-ass kid in the 90s, or I would have been covered in that shit. I was working away, coming home and getting tattooed by a buddy of mine, Scott Forbes. He just opened Oceanic, and I ended up hooking up with him as an apprentice there. Moved home and started tattooing. No, there's nothing that I would really cover up on my body. I mean, it's all a time and a place. It's been a long journey. I was an apprentice for a while, and then it's like anything, any craft. You develop it over time, and things change, and you adapt, and you learn lessons. And tattooing, they're kind of permanent, so you take them all in stride. But it was a long road, and you learn about the business and the do's and don'ts, the people and places you want to be associated with, and the ones that you don't. But I'd worked at the other shop for over 8 years before I decided to open my own. And at that point, I felt confident in being able to run my own shop, but it's still a leap of faith, even though. But it's been great. It's freed up time for me and my kids, and so far so good. My parents they weren't real keen on the idea. I mean, before tattooing, I was a chef, and I'd cooked for over 10 years and traveled a lot. But art's always been my thing ever since I was a kid, and they've always been huge supporters of my artwork. But the tattoo industry, I come from a very religious family, a Pentecostal background, and the whole stigma at that time with tattooing, they weren't real pumped on, but they were supportive. And it's the same with anything over time. Their ideas of the industry changed. As long as I was happy and able to support the family, they were happy for me. And then when the time came for me to open my own place, they were the first ones here to congratulate me. They actually put up some of the money that I needed to open the shop, and then traveled from Newfoundland for opening day. I thought that I'd readied myself for everything I was going to face opening a shop, and that if you had the money to pay for a lease, that wouldn't be an issue. But I found out that it's quite different. There's a lot of stigma still based around the tattoo industry and what that represents. So when I was first looking for a space, I had something lined up. It was a good location. Everything was fine. And then last minute, the owner of the building found out that it was going to be a tattoo shop and pulled the plug. So I was left with no space. And a couple of weeks before opening day, and had to scramble, I searched all over the Dartmouth area trying to find a location. And, I found this space. And when I did get this space, I had to sign off on a bunch of stuff just to get in here. At first, I wasn't allowed to put the word tattoo on the front of the building. And I had to sign some stuff that they could take the lease if there were any issues around the type of people that a tattoo shop might draw to the area. But I try and keep this place as relaxed as possible and, as homey as possible. My kids are in and out of here. Other people's children are here. The last thing you want is a bad situation in your shop. And you will get that. You start bringing the wrong people around. It's just a matter of how, you carry yourself, and people will see in time that that's not the way that it is. But, everyone's entitled to their opinion. Now tattoo is on the outside of the building, yeah, and I've been here for almost 4 years. Have a look at my schedule, Laura, and see what I have in on Monday. I don't like to be coined into one area. I like to do a lot of different stuff. Some days I'm doing floral stuff. Some days it's black and gray realism. My major influence in art, I think, would be religious style art. Like I said, I grew up in a religious household. It's always been an influence on what I like to draw, whether that's, religious statuesque kind of stuff or darker gothic kind of things. If you look around the shop, it's kind of like a church in here. There's the dark and light part of the whole religion all over the place. I have people ask me constantly if I'm a religious person, but it's just a part of my background. But if I had to pick one style that I really like, it would definitely be more of a religious style.
So when I was about to turn 18, my mom knew I loved tattoos. She had a couple tattoos. So she came into my room just before my 18th birthday and said, I have the greatest idea for what you could get for your birthday, because we were trying to figure it out. And it was a tattoo. She surprised me with, so she paid for my first tattoo. It was pretty cool and exciting. I got the year I was born tattooed between my shoulder blades. Tattoos hurt so good. That's the way I would describe getting tattooed. It hurts, but it's worth it. And, I've spent a lot of money on my tattoos. And that's been an important thing for me too, is to make sure that I'm going to an artist who is passionate about what he does, and I want clean lines. Like, I want to walk out of there happy that I just spent $400 on something that's going to be on me forever. I want to get a good tattoo. Derek Hill has done all of my tattoos except for one, and Scott Forbes did the other one. My right arm is an ode to the night. It's I'm a night owl, so you'll find my night owl on there. I plan to incorporate some things about being a mother. I have all the phases of the moon on my arm, and it's just an expression of me. I love the night, and you can ask my mom. I don't think I've slept a full night since she brought me home from the hospital, so that was important to me. And then I have the 23rd Psalm on my leg. And I'm not a particularly religious person. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. And I took advantage of tattoos being open to interpretation, kind of. And I wanted to get a large piece that my grandparents wouldn't be upset about. And I conveniently enough was able to, tell people what that quote meant to me and how I interpreted it for me. And all the flowers there count out to the people who were there for me during my hard times. And then I have an ode to bumblebees on my thigh because we need to save the bumblebees. And so it's all the flowers on the bumblebee tattoo are flowers that bumblebees actually pollinate. On my forearm, I have a turtle. That's for my son. It has the date he was born, March 3rd, 2015, in Roman numerals, and his name is Roman. And he's a Pisces. I didn't want to get a fish on my arm, and we had he was so adorable. He looked like a little baby turtle, so I got the turtle for him. I have Ohana on my shoulder. It means family in Hawaiian, and I'm a family-oriented person. Like, I'm very faithful to my family, and my mom had dreams of going to Hawaii someday, so I was like, a little manifesto there. Maybe if I put it on my skin, we can make this happen for her someday. And resilient on my arm. Resilient, it's one of my favorite words. My best friend from Alaska was down, and we got matching tattoos, the exact same one. I love my tattoos. It's my story. When I look at my tattoos, I'm one of those people, they all have a very special meaning to me, and I look pretty badass with them too. I have more plans for more tattoos, definitely. Tons.
It's changed in every way. I mean, it's like anything. I've been tattooing now for 12 years. It's changed a lot. I mean, even just the tattoo style would, big, bold color was kind of the thing when I started tattooing. And now it's a lot of black and gray, a lot of realism. And the people that are getting tattooed now has also changed. It's every walk of life, every age group. You never know who's coming through the door and what they're gonna get. The only thing is, I've got a kid due first week of July, so everything is, tattooing is moved from just being a statement to being almost like a fashion accessory. It's everyone's style, and just like fashion and clothing, it changes constantly. And you have your fads, with things like Pinterest and Instagram, and one thing will blow up for a while and then it'll fade away. And like I said, when I first started, it was all big, bold color that people wanted, and now it's more black and gray, sliding towards realism. But it's constantly changing, absolutely. I was just talking to someone about that the other day, about how I look at drawings and stuff that I'd done when I first started tattooing compared to now is completely different. When I started tattooing, I was 26, 27 when I first started my apprenticeship, and the stuff that you're into at 26 versus 38 is completely different. And it's evolved as well. Now you're using iPads, and it's not a lot of pencil sketching and that kind of stuff. But yeah, my artwork has changed completely. I was very resistant about getting on the iPad train. I've just done it recently, but I mean, it definitely speeds things up. It makes things a lot easier when you have to adjust or change. Cuts down a lot on the paper you're throwing out as well. So, I mean, in anything, time is money, so it's always good to save time. Yeah, it's definitely the way to go, in my opinion, but there's still nothing better than drawing on a fresh piece of white paper with a pencil crayon.
Money, please.
We were looking for a new apprentice, and I had a lot of people, show interest and come in and interview, and no one was really quite the fit that I was looking for. So then I decided to just look at artwork of local artists on Instagram. Every day I'd get up, it was my morning routine, I'd go on Instagram and I'd search for local artists, and I got lucky and found someone where their art was really interesting to me. I loved it, and instead of her contacting me, I contacted her, which was, if I'm looking for an apprentice again, I think I'll do the exact same thing. When you're bringing someone else in that's already an artist, that's even a harder fit because, they have their own way of doing things, and it can be a very tense situation if, vibes aren't meshing in the shop. And tattooing can be very stressful as is, and adding a stress level to that is just something that can't happen. So if you get someone in here and they're just starting out, it's a lot easier for them to mesh into the unit than it is with someone with their own ideals of how things should be. It is a lot of work, but it's also a lot of risk bringing someone else into it's basically a family, right? So you want to have the best fit for the position as possible.
I got my first tattoo approximately 1994, I believe it was. What made me want to get a tattoo was my niece wanted one, and she was, I think, 16 at the time. So I took her down to get hers, and while I was there, I said, why not? And the tattoo artist at the time that was there, he come up with, I had a rough idea, and he come up with a design, and the rest is history. That tattoo that I'm talking about is a commemorative one for the fire department of when I started and eventually when I retire. And it has elements of the fire service, as in a helmet, axes, and flames. I do have another tattoo of my last dog over my heart. We lost him at 7.5 years old, and it's kind of a caricature of it, and it's another little play on the fire department. I think the reason firefighters, police, and whatnot have tattoos is to commemorate their service or something that's happened in their career. I do have plans for another tattoo as a retirement gift for myself of a firefighter kneeling with an angel over top.
Like I said, I'd left from the restaurant industry, and the main reason for leaving the restaurant industry was to free up time. I was just starting a family, and I wanted to have more time with my kids and be more in charge of my life. The hardest thing about tattooing, wow, that's a solid question. There are a lot of things. I mean, anything when you're dealing with the public can be hard. You never know who's coming through the door. I mean, that's one of the things I also love about it. It's because you're meeting someone new every day. You're hearing different stories, different backgrounds, but sometimes it can be very hard on the head if you get the wrong person in the chair. Staying motivated can be hard, and, staying relevant. I mean, not getting caught in something where you're doing the same style of stuff every day. You're always trying to learn and grow. That can be very hard. Art is something that, can't be forced, right? And if you're not in the right mindset to generate it, you're kind of screwed. So that can be hard. The best thing about doing the job is getting to hang out with people and doodle all day. I mean, I get up, I come to work, and this place is like my second home. We have a TV and a Nintendo in the back, and coffee maker. We come in to make coffee and hang out, draw, and then doodle on people all day, and yeah, get to watch movies. It's great. The strangest request. I think the strangest, funniest tattoo that I've done was years ago when I first started, and I don't even know if you'll be able to put this on there, but anyway, it was two buddies. One of them had lost a bet, and the bet was that the other one got to pick a toonie-sized tattoo for the other one, and they didn't have to reveal it till the day of the tattoo. So they showed up, sure enough, and the guy that had lost, his buddy picked the tattoo for him, and it was a toonie-sized dick with the top of the dick was a luchador wrestling mask. So it was a Mexican wrestling penis. And it was actually this gentleman's first tattoo. So he got it on his thigh, and as we started, he said, "My dad's gonna be very proud of me today." So that's the strangest probably tattoo that I've done. I've been asked to do, I think. Yeah. It was good. I put a lot of effort into that tattoo. It was really good. Everywhere you go, you run into people that you've tattooed everywhere, and I mean it's awesome to have people come up and say hello and how much they love their tattoo and that they're going to come visit and say hi. It's kind of the shop that we have where people just pop in and say hi and hang out for a bit, watch TV. It's totally changed. It's definitely slid away from that stigma that it used to have of bikers and sailors and prostitutes. It's everybody has a tattoo. There's no one that you would look differently at for their age group or race for having a tattoo now. I mean, I would say more than 50% of my clientele are female, and a lot of them are older as well. You could have someone 18 walk in, and right behind them you have a 75-year-old getting their first tattoo. Advice would be make sure that that's what you want to do, because it's going to take your life to get to where you need to be. It's countless hours. It's, when I first started tattooing, I spent all my time at the shop. You're not home, you're constantly drawing. When you're not at the shop, you're home drawing. It'll consume your life until you get to the point where it's, it works for you. But at the start especially, you have to be 100% ready for tattooing to be your life. For me, the future holds more school. I recently went back to school last year, and the search for knowledge is definitely prominent in my life right now. So I'm gonna go back. I'm taking a business course, a 2-year course this fall. So balancing that in this place keeps me busy, but I'm really looking forward to that. There's other businesses that I'd like to get into as well, and expanding this place as much as I can. Honestly, I'd really like to open another shop in my hometown in Newfoundland, which is called Gunner's Cove, which is where this place gets its name. It's a very small fishing community just before Lanson Meadows. So it's very touristy, and I would like to have like a summer shop there and be able to go and spend summers with my mom and just run a little shop there while still having this place. In 15 years, I'm hoping one of my kids is running this spot so I don't have to, hopefully. We'll see. I'd like to see them do whatever's gonna make them happy, but it's, I'm hoping that one of them's gonna follow suit. I mean, they both love art. They draw and paint constantly, so it's promising.